Hello students, myself Professor Hardika Meghani, and we will be going through some concepts of Python programming in this video. Today we will be going through the concept of loops in the Python programming. These are the topics that would be covered during the video. Introduction to the loops in the Python, the while loop, the for loop, the nested looping, break statements and the continue statements. In this video, we will be learning about the concepts and we'll be seeing the practical demonstration on those concepts. So when I'm talking about the loops, what does the loop mean? We in any programming language, whether it is C, it is Python, it is Java, any programming language, we perform the looping to perform a certain task for the multiple times. When you want a certain group of statements to be executed for more than one times, we go for the concept of looping. The same is with the Python. A loop statement allows you to execute the statement of or the group of statements for the multiple times. Supposingly you want to print the sequence of numbers from 1 to 10. There is one option that you use the print statement for the 10 times and print those numbers. The another option is you use the looping concept and print the statement from 1 to 10 in the sequence. So in this way, looping helps our task to be performed easily and in a better manner. Now, there are three types of looping in the Python: while loop, for loop, and nested looping. Let's see all of them in the detail. When I am talking about while loop, how does while loop work? In the while loop, you test the expression and then you enter into the body of the while loop. The syntax is while, then you test the expression, and then you enter into the body of the while loop, that is whichever task you want to perform for the multiple time. Here we have taken one example in which we have taken a variable number. We are taking that number variable from the user. We have one I is equal to 1 that helps us to maintain the counter of the loop while that I is less than or equal to number. Supposingly I want to print 1 to 10. So I'll be taking the number 10. So my while loop, what does it do? It prints the I and increments it at the every iteration, so that as and when the I will iterate and move and it will go above 10, my while loop condition will go false and my printing would stop. So I will get printed 1 to 10 on my output screen. Let's see this with the example. Here to perform the example, we are using online compiler, that is online GDB. You can use any of the Python online compiler or you can install the Python into your PCs and perform the same. So we have taken this number variable. We have taken I is equal to 1. We have started our while loop in which we have compared I less than or equal to number as the condition. In Python, as we know, the indentations are very important. So once we enter into the while loop, so whatever the task is to be performed as the body of while should be properly indented. Now let's run the code. I entered the number 10. Here you can see I have entered the number 10. Press enter. So I got my 1 to 10 printed. I got my 1 to 10 printed on my output screen. You can see that 1 to 10 has got printed on the output screen. I entered the number 10. Supposingly, I had entered the number. Let's run again. I had entered the number 15. So I got my 1 to 15 printed. Now, if you had to perform this task without using the loop, you would have to use the print statement for the 15 different times. Instead of that, over here, we have to use the print statement only once and which is placed into the loop. Thus, it iterates as much time as we want as per the condition. So this is how our while loop works. Now, moving further with the concept of for loop. So, the for loop is used to iterate over the items of any sequence, including Python list, strings, and tuples, etc. So, we have certain data types that are in the Python itself. So, over here, what happens? We can use the for loop to iterate through that particular sequence of list or string or the tuple also, not only printing the data for the multiple times. Instead, if you want to iterate into the items that are present into these data types, you can use the for loop for the same. So the syntax is for, then the variable that would be iterated into, in, that means where it is, from where, and from where it is to be started and from where it is to be ended, that sequence is to be given, and then what exactly the statements we want to perform. Let's see with the example. Here we have taken a simple example where again I want to print the numbers from 0 to certain n number. So I have a range. Here we will be using a range function that I give the for loop that this is the range in which my I is to be iterated. So it will start iterating I, it will start from 0 and it will end till the end range that we have given. So I have taken one number n from the user. I have kept that into the range of 0 to n. Now my I will start iterating from 0. Suppose I have given the n as 3. So it will go to 0, then 1, then 2, then 3. As soon as we'll reach 4, the range is over, so it will exit the loop. During this phase of 0, 1, 2, 3, what task is given? It is given to perform print statement. So it will print whatever the current value of I is. Again, let's perform this practical on our compiler. Sometimes when you make sure if you are copying the data from somewhere, you make sure that all the indentations are maintained properly. If not, it will generally throw the error. So now we are ready to run the program. Let's run the program, enter the number. I gave the number 5 and you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have total 5 digits printed over here. Supposingly, I want my program to go till 0 to 5. So I will give 6 and enter. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whatever will be the end value in the range, the number would be printed one less time. So the loop will be iterating one less time. Why? Because it is calculating the exact loops that are to be iterated 0 to 5. So there are 6 numbers. Now let's move with the Next example, we simply printed a range of numbers. Now, if you want to print only even numbers in the given range, so we have to slightly modify the same program by giving the if condition in the for loop. You can simply modify the program by giving the if condition in the for loop. Let's modify the program. We all know that when I talk about even numbers, so even numbers are the numbers which are divided by 2 and we get the remainder 0. So we find the remainder with the help of modulo function. So we will be performing the condition that if I modulo 2, I modulo 2 is equal to 0. If I modulo 2 is equal to 0, that means after dividing I with my number 2, I get the remainder 0. Then and then I will be printing my I. Then and then I'll be printing my I. Let's run it. A 0 to 10. So according to my calculation, 0 to 4, 6, 8 should be the output. Let's see. There you go. You have 0, 2, 4, 6 and 8 as the output, and these are the even numbers. Suppose you need to find the odd numbers, simply change not equal to 0. If I modulo 2 is not equal to 0, then you will get all the odd numbers printed till 10. That is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. I guess this concept might be clear with you all. So we will be moving further with the topic. Now, as I previously said, that for loop is not only for performing these mathematical functionalities, it also helps in printing the data types, printing the list, printing the tuple, printing the dictionary, printing the sets, printing the string. So here we have taken an example in which we are printing list, tuple, string, dictionary and set iterations. So first what we have created a list. First is the list iteration. We have created a list that is having C, IT and CSE into its list items. How we wrote our for loop? For I in whichever is the list variable. Here list variable is L. So for I in L. So I will be iterating through the list till the list gets over. What it needs to do? Print I. So whatever will be the current value of the list, that would be stored into the I as per the iteration, and we are trying to print that I. Same when we go with the tuple, same way instead of list, we are iterating the I into the tuple for I in T. So one by one, my I will iterate and move further in the tuple, and the particular value of the tuple will be printed. Let's perform these two iterations of list and tuple first. Print the list iteration. Here I have taken one list L. Now I have iterated my I into the list, that is L. After that I am going for the printing of the tuple iteration. I have taken one tuple over here, and now I am iterating my I into the tuple. So let's run. Here you can see the list iteration, and my all the three iteration in the lists are printed, and my tuple iteration. Let's just slightly modify the list. I added one more item into my list so that you can slightly get the clarity that the both the for loops, the for the tuple and for the list, both are iterating individually. So it iterates as per the number of elements are present into the list or the tuple, irrespective of the another data type. I guess this might be clear. So let's move further with the remaining data types, that is string. Now we can also print the string using the for loop. So we have taken a string SOU over here, and we have iterated for I in that string and printed the string. Let's take it over here. We want to print the string iteration. Let's print the string iteration. Let's take a string SOU. Now we will be taking our for loop for I in string print I. Let's run the code. You can see that we are able to iterate through the string also. The way we iterated in the list and the way we iterated in the tuple, the same way we have a string iteration also. Now moving further to the dictionary. List, tuples, string, dictionaries, sets. So now moving further to the dictionary, we have taken one dictionary. First we have declared an empty dictionary D. Then we have given the key and the value to the dictionary. We have given one key as SOID whose value is 1, another as SOSET whose value is 2, and then we are again using I into the range of dictionary, and we are printing our dictionary with the key and the value. Here my key is into the string format, so I have taken percentage %s, and my values of the relative key are in the integer format, so I have taken percentage %d. So I would be first, I would be SOID. So here the string SOID would be printed. Then for the percentage %d, it would be d of SOID. So it will be going over here d of SOID, that is 1. Similarly, it will iterate further. It will go, I would be updated to SOSET. The I that goes as per the index value, that is the key value. So I would be SOSET. Then for percentage %d, it will be going to the relative d of SOSET, that is 2. So let's perform this. Let's close the output, previous output. We have completed till string. Now we have moved towards the dictionary so that you can see. I've scrolled it a bit. Here we have printed the dictionary iteration. We have taken a dictionary. Now in that we have given two values. we are trying to print in the for loop. Okay, let's run. And here we have the dictionary iteration also. First is assoit, then is SOSET. As you add into the dictionary, you will have increment into the output also. See. So this is how for loop iterates for the dictionary. Moving further to the sets, one more data type set that is remaining. In the set also, we have the same way to iterate. We have taken a set in which we have stored 1 to 6 values, and we are iterating our I into that set. So let's take this set also. Now we have taken the set also. Set iterations we have printed. This is a set I have declared. I am iterating my set I into the set and printing the same. So I have my set iterations over here. You can see how the output for all the different data types are printed over here in a single program. Now let's move further with the concept. Now we learnt about simple while loop, simple for loop. So these loops can be used as the nested loops also. Now what is nested looping? Nested looping means when one of the loop exists inside the another loop. It is called the nested loop. So here I have taken my two different lists. One is college, another is course. What I want to print is one of the iteration, one of the listing items of the college should be mapped with one of the listing items of the course, so that it can show that these two different colleges have total 8 different courses relating each other. So here I have taken one for loop x in the college, one variable x I have taken that will iterate in the list college, another variable course I have taken that will y I have taken that will iterate in the list of course. Then I have just printed this x comma y. So one item from the college, that is assoit, it will be taken in the first loop, then it will go in the second loop. In the second loop, it will iterate each and every item of the list first, print it, then it will exit and go to the first loop. Then first loop will iterate again and go to SOSET. Once entered into SOSET, again the Y will go for the whole list of the course. It will print and then it will exit and go to first loop. Then the first loop will try to search for the third element which will not be present, and then the execution will be stopped. So this is how the nested looping works. Let's take the code. Let's go to our online compiler. We'll clear the compiler, paste the code. One list is college, another is course. For X in the college, then for Y in the course, and then we'll be printing it. So here you can see SOIT CE, SOIT IT, SOIT Mechanical, SOIT Civil. Once it has been done for the particular college, it went to the next, and then it again iterated the another list respectively. So this is how my nested looping works, where one loop can be executed inside the another loop. Now we have few statements of break and continue. We have seen these statements in another programming language. Same way, Python also supports the break and continue statement. The break statement says that we can stop the loop even if the condition is true. Whichever loop I am executing, even if that loop is having the condition true, it won't allow it to move further after the break statement is executed. Supposedly here I have taken the number from the user n. Let's say I added the number 5. My while loop will go from 1 to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There I am printing each and every iteration. As soon as my I will reach till 3, my printing will break, even though I know that if I move further, I'll leave 3, and if I move to 4, then 4 is also less than 5. The condition would be true. Still, my printing will be broken as soon as my iteration goes to I is equal to 3. Let's understand this. As soon as I becomes 3, stop the further printing that we want to tell. So my loop will go for 1, 2, and 3. I have entered 5. See, as soon as it went till 3, it stopped printing when we know that even 4 would have justified the condition, because 4 would have been less than 5. Supposingly, I want to check my iteration first and then print. Supposingly, I want to check my iteration first and then print. I would print after the iteration that if it is 3, then even 3 should not be printed. So you can see it broke as soon as we got I is equal to 3. It didn't go even to the, even though we know that 3 is less than n, the condition was true. Still we were not able to print because we entered into the break statement before we go to the print statement, and it break the printing of the loop. Since then, after the break statement, our next statement is continue statement. So we can see continue says that you are forcefully trying to skip the iteration. Let's understand the same with the example. So I have taken one n, enter the number, I is equal to 1, while I is less than n. If I becomes 3, we will increment I and give continue. We will increment I and give continue, so it won't execute this much portion. Now let's run it. Enter the number, that is 5, and we can see that it has skipped 3 and it has moved to the 4th iteration. So this is how continue statement works. Thank you so much, students. I hope your looping concepts might be now clear with the same.